Well, while 2020 proves to be a year unlike any other in recent memory in the U.S., there's still a matter of the presidential election. Speculation has been rampant about who the presumptive Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden will choose as his running mate. He's expected to make that announcement early this month. If not this week, then certainly next week. For more on this, Peter Emerson joins us. He's a Democratic strategist, former White House aide. He worked on every Democratic presidential campaign since 1972. We've joined him in beautiful Montauk, New York. Peter, thanks so much for joining us. Let's talk about the key factors that Biden is considering, and presumably a very active discussion right now as we speak. Who's he considering and why for VP?
First and foremost, this is a unique period of history in that, at least in my lifetime, the last 40 years of presidential elections, it's not a matter of just who would bring electoral votes, who would help politically. It has to be someone that the average voter in America says that person, that woman, it will be a woman, can be the next president of the United States. So there's an emotional component to this that hasn't existed since I've been involved in politics.
And that, I understand you're saying, because of the age of Joe Biden, even his own admission that perhaps he wouldn't be a two-term president. So the idea being that whoever the vice president is could very likely end up as the chief executive, at least in a second term.
Absolutely. And also there's the possibility of anything happening in the first term. So Americans are going to view this choice, as they do all choices, emotionally. So it's not about competence, it's not about foreign policy experience, it's not about domestic policy experience. Can that person who's just been brought forward by Joe Biden be the next president of the United States? That's a huge burden, but it's also a very powerful emotional attachment if they find the right person to fulfill that.
So Biden has said a woman, and many, of course, have pointed to recent events saying it should be a black woman. Who are we looking at potentially?
Well, the list is fairly clear, at least the ones that have been leaked to the media, and that would be Susan Rice, Elizabeth Warren, Val Demings, Kamala Harris, Tammy Duckworth, the senator from Illinois who lost two legs defending America. I may have missed one or two. At the end of the day, I know that within the campaign, as you pointed out, there are very serious discussions. Is it someone who Joe Biden is compatible with? Important. But at the end of the day, hopefully they'll make the decision based on who will resonate emotionally with the voter. Because at the end of the day, we're up against the most powerful emotion there is, which is fear. And this president, Donald Trump, plays fear like a fiddle, better than any politician I've ever seen. This is so reminiscent of the days of Lyndon Johnson trying to create fear about Goldwater by showing a nuclear bomb exploding above a little girl picking daisies. So fear is a huge factor in this election in ways I've never seen before. So whoever Biden picks has to begin to diminish that and replace it with hope.
Is there a yin and yang aspect to this as well? We saw this certainly with Biden and Obama, where the cool, no drama Obama and the sort of off the cuff, slightly unpredictable Joe Biden. Is there a sense to balance off some of Biden's better or worse qualities in that choice for vice president?
Yes, to a minimal degree, in that we're dealing with a virtual election. First time in history. So seeing them together is going to be very few and far between, to say the least. And also, we have to look at the aspect that very likely Trump could Pence. I wouldn't be surprised if drop Pence and pick Nikki Haley, for instance, particularly since Biden's going to pick a woman.
All right, so if you could look into your crystal ball for us, based on your 45 or more years of experience, who do you think it might be?
In terms of the vice presidential pick, I don't really know, because at the end of the day, it's because of those 40 and 45 years of experiences. I don't have that emotional attachment. I know most of them. So I don't have a way of really judging how the American public will react. All I know is that at the end of the day, a voter is going to say that person could be president of the United States, not down the road, but literally tomorrow. And if they can fulfill that emotional need of the voter, then they'll have a very, very powerful ticket.
Could it be a black woman? Very likely, in fact, right?
Very, very likely, in fact, indeed.
And what are the considerations around those choices?
Again, it's if we present this woman, this black woman, to the American public, can she be viewed as the next president of the United States? Because, in fact, she very well may be.
Okay. As we watch that aspect of this, we are also watching the fact that there has been talk that Trump may try to postpone the election. How realistic an idea is that, do you think?
I think it's very realistic. I think it's very probable. He's got other mixes in this whole sort of confusion he's creating, not the least of which is disrupting the Postal Service for mail-in ballots, absentee ballots. But as we discussed earlier, if Donald Trump loses the election, he will be indicted the next day. That's a big incentive to postpone the election. And when anyone here in America, from a constitutional standpoint, says he can't do it, please prove to me how he cannot not do it. He has all the power. He can do whatever he wants. So what if the Constitution only gives the power to the House of Representatives? It doesn't matter. We're in a new day and a new age, and this man will do anything to stay in office.
Okay, just to be clear what you're saying, despite wars and depressions and all the upheaval that America has gone in its 200, almost 50 years history, you're suggesting that Donald Trump could, in fact, postpone the presidential election and that it's a very real possibility.
Absolutely. No question in my mind. He will do anything to stay in power, to avoid indictment, to make more money. It's been proven time and time again that he'll use the office of the presidency for his own benefit, for his own gain, and so we're in a whole new world.
And yet this, despite the pushback we've already seen, not just from Democrats, but from veteran Republicans as well, people in his own party for whom this is truly beyond the pale, this possibility.
Well, it's beyond the pale up to a point. Just remember that all of these Republicans, and we're talking particularly Senate candidates, either up for re-election or new candidates, are the ones who have pushed back McConnell to some degree. Up until this point, they've succumbed to everything that Donald Trump wants to do. So just because they made a statement last week about maybe being opposed to it or this can't happen, we will have an election, doesn't mean anything when Trump brings the full power of the executive branch, his office, to bear on these people, including money for their re-election.
Peter, I want to thank you for your insight and your experience on this. If things could get any more interesting, we'll have to see. Peter Emerson, thank you, sir.